At sunrise, her braid brushed her back as she looked at the village still asleep, not with childish curiosity, but as if waiting for a voice only she could hear. She prayed alone, not for herself, but for a kingdom whose own king had lost hope. The angel no one else could see stood before her, sword of light in hand. It said, "Fight, not with rage, but with faith." When she told her mother she must leave, silence spoke louder than words. Her mother's eyes held both fear and pride. She walked away with a simple stick, a tired dress, and a heart full of certainty. Small as she was, history seemed to follow behind her. That morning she looked one last time at the land that fed them. The same earth she now had to leave behind. She walked alone, yet it never felt empty, as if an unseen voice was always 2 steps ahead of her. No one stopped her. A girl in dust-stained clothes passed quietly through the gate, like a shadow not meant to be seen. That night she slept under a broken roof. No blanket, no companion, only a candle, her breath, and a journey just beginning. She reached the castle, a girl of mud and rain, now standing before walls that separated the king from his people. They all stared, some with mockery, others with fear, because anyone who hears God's voice is always trouble. Among the crowd, she had to find him. The voice had said, "Search for him. He hides himself." When their eyes met, no crown or name was needed. His gaze was exactly what she'd seen in her dreams. She was just a girl. But when she spoke, the Dauphin fell silent, as if everything was about to be rewritten. The priests asked, "Who sent you?" She answered, "Someone you barely dare to name." They tried to trap her, with questions even their own men couldn't answer. But she did. That night, the prince listened to her alone. He said, "You don't know who you are, but I do." The armor was heavy, but not her fear. She wore it as if it had always been hers. Before she left, she paused for just a moment. Perhaps someone was still waiting behind her. He walked ahead. The armor she wore scared many, but she wasn't after war or death. She simply knew it was time. The soldiers watched her, some with respect, others with doubt. A woman in war meant trouble to many, but she wasn't seeking approval. When the sword was placed in her hand, she didn't think of strength or blood, just that something felt complete, like a piece of her had returned. Before anything, she knelt, not to save her own life, but to become who she was meant to be. At dawn, the sound of drums rose through the mist. The soldiers awoke, but their eyes searched for her, not the commanders. The clouds gathered, not just in the sky, but in everyone's heart. But she came from the edge of that very darkness. With a single gesture, the all went quiet, as if she heard the drums within and waited for the world to match their silence. She pressed her sword into the ground and bowed her head, not for victory, but to keep something inside her calm. Her horse took one step, then another. No one said a word, but they all followed those 2 steps. 2 armies, 2 voices, 2 destinies. The moment the swords met, nothing stayed the same. Amid the chaos, swords clashing and men shouting, only one sound filled her ears, her own heartbeat. She fell. Her hand trembled. But she didn't fear, because she hadn't come here to fear. The scream wasn't just a name, it was a life. And the only one who heard it was the one who came to listen. Behind her, blood, screams, dust. But she never once looked back. The path only went one way. When the sun sank, they all stood, not for victory, but for the one who stayed lit in the fire. When she returned, no horns were blown, but the people stood still, seeing pieces of themselves in her eyes. That night she took off the armor, but not the weight. The war was still with her. In the morning she raised no flag, sang no song. She just picked up the armor, because the day had begun. When the bells rang, the silence of the cathedral broke. That day, it wasn't just a king crowned. It was a dream made royal. John wasn't crowned that day, but the look he gave her from the altar weighed more than any crown. A year passed. Much changed, except the way they looked at her, and those very eyes pulled her from dream to judgment. They didn't want to hear her voice, because the truth in her heart was dangerous. It wasn't a trial, it was a theater. On her final day, she said nothing. She looked at the sky, the only place she ever believed her path came from. No one stepped forward, not to stop the fire, not to gather the ashes. Only the wind remained, and a name that drifted within it. Sometimes the quietest voices echo the loudest, especially when they come from a heart that never truly burned away. Years passed. Everything faded, except her voice. Now, it echoes in stone, the memory of a girl who stood when others bowed.